Okay, so we've got this legal document we're diving into today,
All right.
and it's straight from a consumer court in Bangalore.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so, when you think consumer court, you think, like drab courtrooms and like dusty law books.
Right. Lots of paperwork.
Exactly. But this is actually a really fascinating case.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's about a guy who got caught up in like a real estate nightmare.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he invests in this housing cooperative,
Okay.
hoping to get a plot of land to build his dream home.
Right. The classic dream.
Exactly. And it seems pretty straightforward at first,
Shape.
but then things go completely sideways.
Oh, so it's one of those.
Oh, yeah. It's a wild ride.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So to help us break down all the legal twists and turns, we've got expert speaker here.
Hello.
So set the scene for us. Who are the key players in this real estate drama?
Okay, so our main character in this saga is a man named Raghu Krishna Casey,
Okay.
and he invested in a housing cooperative called BSNL, Central and State IT, and Retired Employees, HBCS Ltd.
Whoa, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tongue twister.
Definitely not catchy like those trendy new startups.
Not at all. So anyway, Raghu Krishna, he puts his money into this cooperative, hoping to snag a plot of land, to build that dream home.
Makes sense so far. So where did things start to go wrong?
Well, the cooperative, they just completely dropped the ball. They didn't give him the plot, and to make matters worse, they wouldn't give him his money back.
Oh, no. So they basically took his money and ran.
Pretty much, we're talking years of delays, legal battles, the whole 9 yards.
That's awful. So what did he do? I mean, you can't just let them get away with that.
Exactly. Raghu Krishna, he decided to fight back. He took his case to the Karnataka State Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission.
Okay, so we're talking like consumer protection laws here.
Right. You would think buying land would be pretty straightforward, legally speaking.
Yeah, you would think so.
But it gets complicated with housing cooperatives involved.
So how did the cooperative try to defend themselves?
Well, they tried to argue that this whole thing wasn't actually a consumer dispute.
Wait, really? How can they say that? He's clearly a consumer. He just wanted to buy some land.
That was their whole argument. They claimed that because of this Karnataka Cooperative Societies Act, it meant they weren't subject to the usual consumer protection laws.
Oh, so they were trying to use a legal loophole to get out of their responsibility?
Exactly. They were trying to have their cake and eat it too.
And what did the commission say about that?
They weren't buying it.
Uh-oh.
The commission cited a precedent from the Supreme Court itself. They said this wasn't just a simple land sale. The cooperative's involvement made it subject to consumer protection laws.
Wow, so that's a big win for Raghu Krishna right there.
Huge. It set the stage for the rest of the case.
Okay, so they shut down the cooperative's argument, but did the commission find anything else interesting when they were digging into this case?
They did, and this is where it gets really juicy.
Okay, lay it on me.
The commission actually uncovered evidence that suggests the cooperative might have been using Raghu Krishna's money, and probably others, to fund other development projects.
Wait, so not only did they not give him the plot or return his money, but they might have been using his cash for their own gain.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a pretty bold move.
Bold is an understatement. That's outrageous. So what happened next? Did the commission call them out on this?
Oh, absolutely. Remember that legal precedent they cited earlier about this being a consumer dispute?
Yeah.
That combined with this new evidence about the cooperative's shady dealings meant their argument was basically toast.
So they were caught red-handed. What was the verdict? What happened to Raghu Krishna? Did he get his money back?
He did. The commission sided with Raghu Krishna and ordered the cooperative to refund his money with 8% interest on top.
8%. That's a pretty hefty interest rate. What's the story there? Is that standard for these kinds of cases?
Not necessarily. The commission actually said that the 8% interest was justified because the cooperative had held on to Raghu Krishna's money for so long.
So it was like a penalty for their bad behavior.
Exactly. It was to compensate for the financial hardship they caused him by withholding his funds.
That's a pretty strong message. It's not just about getting his money back, but acknowledging the impact of their actions.
Absolutely. And it raises some interesting questions about consumer rights in the Indian real estate market as a whole. This case could have far-reaching implications.
Right. So this isn't just about one guy and his dream home anymore.
Exactly. It could impact how housing cooperatives operate and how these kinds of disputes are handled in the future.
This is already so fascinating, and we're just getting started.
We are just scratching the surface. We'll dive into the broader implications of this ruling and what it means for consumers like you after the break.
So this case, it's like a warning flare for anyone thinking about dealing with housing cooperatives in India.
Right, exactly. It's a wake-up call.
Because you might think, oh, it's a cooperative. It's all about community and shared goals.
Right, you'd think they'd be more trustworthy.
Exactly. But this case shows that's not always the reality.
No, not at all. They can be just as capable of shady dealings as any other business.
And that's why these consumer protection laws are so important.
Absolutely.
Mm.
They're there to protect people like Raghu Krishna who just want a fair shake.
Right. And what I find interesting is that the commission didn't just say, okay, here's your money back and call it a day.
Right. They went a step further with that 8% interest.
Exactly. It's like they were sending a message with that.
Oh, totally. It was a way of saying, hey, we see what you did there, and it's not okay. You need to be held accountable for the harm you caused.
It's like a deterrent for other housing cooperatives thinking about pulling similar stunts.
Right. It sets a precedent that could make them think twice.
Because now they know that if they get caught, they could be on the hook for a lot more than just the original amount.
Exactly. And that's a good thing. It makes them think about the potential consequences of their actions.
It's like you said earlier, knowledge is power. And in this case, the commission used its power to protect consumers and promote fairness in the real estate market.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this case so significant. It's not just about one man and his land dispute. It's about something much bigger.
Right. It's about ensuring that everyone plays by the rules and that consumers have a voice when things go wrong.
Exactly. And that's a message that I hope resonates with our listeners today.
Me too.